Okay. Your favorite and mine, this guy.
Share with you guys what Coach K said last night. I think it's important for everybody to be thinking about this. Last night, as a consultant, I'm giving this message to everybody. And I was thinking about the entire time, what should I share? So I gave 150 pictures over the years of what we've done. And I found one of Tom's favorite pictures. I'm telling history, stuff that we've done. We're laughing. We're going through. It's a great story. But one of the things was that all of us in life, yesterday we're having breakfast, the conversation we had with Adam. I don't know if you remember that conversation.
I do remember that conversation, sir.
Yeah, incredible conversation we had is, how do you measure a man? Like, what is a man? If I ask you what is a man, not the chromosome man, not the funny stuff that we're talking about.
What is a woman?
No, I'm not talking about that.
Just look at fucking my Adam's like, oh man, it's on.
I'm talking about how do you measure a man? Wouldn't you look at a man and say, man, that's a man's man? What does a man's man need to do to be a man? There's levels in life. There's levels in wealth. There's levels in sports. There's levels in greatness. There's levels in being a man. And unfortunately, a lot of times, especially nowadays, we are living in an era where the same way women are kind of going through the era of what? I don't need a man. I don't need this. J-Lo just said something last night. She said, after being married 5 times or whatever, I have decided I'm choosing me.
Oh, God.
I'm choosing me. You're choosing you? What are you choosing, bro?
Okay. Can I be the first one to remind everyone about the conversation that almost got Adam Sosnick fired, right? Can I be the first one to bring up the fact that this same son of a bitch right here was the one who was running Adam up the flagpole for bringing up these kinds of topics, this very topic, in fact. I choose me. Right. But if Adam says it, and Adam says all these girls are very self-centered, they have a laundry list of prerequisites. They're very solipsistic. Finding out now, he's going to say, well, it's because you're looking for these hoes in the strip clubs, and you're finding them in the clubs and stuff. You're not going to Bible study. You're not going to the library. You're not going to the museums. That's where you find good quality women. But it's different when Patrick Bet-David brings it up and he starts talking about J-Lo and all this shit. Like, now he's going to get into it here in just a second, but I wanted to make sure that I give you this sorry, bird hands. I wanted to give I got to wag my finger so I don't do bird hands. I wanted to give you this sort of as the preamble of all of this, because this is the same hypocrite who gave Adam Sosnick no end of shit for saying pretty much the exact same thing here. So let's listen some more.
How old are you? This is it. After 4 divorces and 6 different engagements, 56-year-old singer Jennifer Lopez says she's done with marriage and she's choosing herself, right? And oh my God.
At 56, who else does she have to choose?
She's so amazing. Good for you for choosing you. Good for you for doing this. There's nothing more unattractive than a single woman in her 50s that's wealthy. No one's interested. Nobody is. Maybe a 22-year-old that wants to come marry you and get half your wealth 5 years later, but people are not interested. But this is like this new era. I don't need a man. I can do my own thing. And for men, guess what? Men are...
Sorry, wasn't Adam Sosnick saying exactly the same fucking thing like 4 weeks ago? I don't need a man. Was he not saying, maybe I'm paraphrasing, but was he not saying something very, very similar to that, Pat? But when you make the case, it's okay. But when Adam doesn't, he's risking his fucking job.
Screw you. You want to do this? I don't want any responsibilities. Don't give me any responsibilities. I'm going to choose me too. So who wins? You know who wins? The enemy wins. Who's the enemy? The enemy is another country. The enemy is another denomination. The enemy is another philosophy, ideology that doesn't...
Oh, so if we can bring this into religion and spirituality, then it's all good. Okay.
Match with the Western ideology that became the greatest country in the world. It doesn't match with freedom of speech. It doesn't match with freedom of assembly. It doesn't match with freedom of religion. It just doesn't. So men are sitting there, they're going on a strike. Screw you. I'm choosing me too. Now what? And so neither one of them are right. So the whole idea of men, we measure men based on more responsibilities they carry. What they do for their family, what they do for their kids.
No, we don't, actually. This is the same guy that interviewed Andrew Tate before he even knew he had secret kids. This is the same guy who jumped and flew his happy ass and a full video team out to Madrid to interview Andrew Tate when he thought he was the coolest fucking thing in the world.
What they do for their communities, what they do for their state, for their country, for their church. That's a man's man. There's layers to it, right?
Sacrifice. There it is. It's all about sacrifice. Who gives up the most? Who can bleed the most? Who can give up? Who has the most to give? Who it's always, especially for tradcons, it's always based on you're only a real man if you kill yourself. You're only a real man if you martyr yourself. You're only a real man if you put off all of your anything that has to do with you. If you in any way think about yourself for whatever reason. That's why they love this. That's why he loves this narrative. I choose me, and she's very selfish, and she's very solipsistic, and she's she's J-Lo. Okay, we got it. Thanks. But the thing is now you're making this counterbalance or this counter argument, let's just say, based on what? Based on sacrifice, based on martyrdom, based again on responsibility. Didn't you just say that? But the responsibility without authority is what, children? That's right, slavery.
So last night I talked about the 6 levels we all go through. Number 1 is we're lost. Mm-hmm. Number 2, somebody finds us and believes in us and says, hey, I believe in you. I think you can do X, Y, Z. Maybe you find God. Maybe you find church. Maybe you find a good influence in your life. Number 3, you finally commit. Mm-hmm. I'm going to choose to change my life. Number 4, lifestyle changes. You're living a better lifestyle. You're living in a better place. You have some money in the bank.
How convenient. That sounds a lot like the epiphany phase, right?
You're feeling confident. You're feeling good about yourself. And then phase number 5, if you can skip it, good for you. Phase number 5 is when you get bored, when you get entitled, when you get ungrateful, when you forget about all the people that helped you. Like, no one helped me. I did all this for myself. And then finally, hopefully, you go to phase number 6, which is choosing legacy, choosing history, choosing to do something big with your life. And Coach K is speaking on stage. I'm listening to this man, walking up. Him and I are talking, and I'm, if you ever see me taking pictures with Guy, I'm touching his shoulders. I'm like, holy moly, Coach K, you got some traps. It's like, who the hell?
I think you guys need to have this put into perspective for you. This is the same guy, and I could show you the video too. This is the same guy that in his study or in his office area of his $25 million mansion that is on the coast of Fort Lauderdale that has its own slip for a yacht. This guy is the same dude that had a mural commissioned. And on that mural are the great thinkers of the world. One of those happens to be Tupac Shakur. Okay. The other one was Albert Einstein, Abraham Lincoln, some F1 driver he idolizes. I think JFK is on there, maybe Teddy Roosevelt. Basically, like all the great thinkers of the past, last century and this century, right? And he would include like some rappers and stuff on that. And in the middle of that is him, painted as if he is like one of the great men of the mighty men of the wisdom of the ancients, right? That would be like me, Kyle. That would be like me having me painted in the middle of Randy Rhoads, Eddie Van Halen, let's see, Jimi Hendrix, Lemmy from Motorhead, now Ozzy, Randy, all these people all these great guitarists, over the years, and then wanting everybody to believe that I am on par and I'm rubbing elbows. I am within the peer group of all these magnificent guitar players over the years who are of yesteryear. Imagine me doing something like that. You would probably hack up in disgust if you've come to discover that I had some mural hand painted commissioned by an artist to go and aggrandize myself to such a degree. All right. So I wanted to point that out because this is the same guy who's going to tell you what it is to be a man. Now, this is a guy responsibility and civic duty and honor and respect. Really what he's talking about is respectability. I mean, we can break this down to respectability. It's on a hierarchy. It's based on affluence. It's based on status. It's based on respect. But what do you do that makes you respectable? Okay. This is the same guy who would have just a matter of 2 or 3 years ago would have put Andrew Tate on that same fucking mural with him in the center of it. He would have had it. Hey, we've got a little room over here. Can you put Andrew Tate in that? Can you put Donald Trump in there too with us? Right. It's that degree of just fuckery. there's no other word but fuckery. And this is a guy, but it gets to a deeper point here. And the deeper point is this: while it's great to talk about what makes a man respectable, because that builds male dominance hierarchies, basically. What do you do that's respectable? Well, I have a podcast. I have 5 best-selling Amazon best-selling books to my name. I got a 6th one coming out. I've got Reignite. I've done Dr. Phil. I've done a lot just in the last 6 or 7 years. I think 7 or 8 years, right? And I still have a lot of irons in the fire. I still have a lot more stuff that I want to do. And I'm not worried so much about legacy as I am about finishing the projects that I think are very important to me right now before I die. And that could be as soon as I walk out that door right now, or it might be 10 or 20 years from now. Who knows? The rate my freaking herpetic neuralgia is going, I might be tomorrow. But the fact of the matter is like you can only think about legacy, and you can only think about all these different steps of manhood, or whatever the fuck he wants to, whatever template, whatever path, whatever theme we're supposed to follow to be cool in his eyes, right? Remember what I said just a minute ago about, like, if you found out like that I've been cheating on my wife for the last 4 years, would that be more respectable or less respectable? Would you have a better impression of me if you found that out because I can get hot bitches, or would you think I'm a scumbag because I've been lying to my wife of 30 years and that I've been banging some other chippy on the side? What would it be, right? What life plan? Because I can tell you right now, there'll be a certain number of guys who go, yeah, man, Rollo's great, man. He can fuck this other chick. I know it's too bad about his wife, but hey, man, at least he's 57 years old. He looks as good as he does. He's fucking other chicks. Awesome. Those are his receipts, right? What if my receipts are, I've been loyal to my wife for 30 some odd years. I have a child who is also married. I have all this to Patrick Bet-David. Yes, he's a worthy, respectable guy. It just depends on the fucking context. And I wish we could just pull our heads out collectively out of our ass when it comes to this kind of stuff, because I'm sick to fucking death of listening to, because where does this lead? Where does the respectability thing lead? Or excuse me, the responsibility thing lead? It usually leads to self-sacrifice. It usually leads and as I kept saying, like, you will in this lifetime never be appreciated for the sacrifices you make, particularly when it comes to facilitating realities that women live in. Men are never appreciated for facilitating women's realities. And you can make the bigger picture of that is like, well, the world could not get by without men. You would not have men working in raw sewage. You not have them filling potholes. It would not be the lights would not stay on. You would not have an internet. You would not have a G3 network. You would not have. I mean, you think of all the things that men are necessary for. That's almost cliche right now, but that's the bigger picture of it. And why? Because men will sacrifice themselves for it. One of the things that gets me is whenever I hear people talk about alpha, beta, or sigma. Sigma is the one, right? That's like, oh, I'm a sigma. No, you're not a sigma. You don't know anything about sociosexual hierarchy. So don't say you're a sigma. I love it. It's like when people, I keep seeing these. I'm sorry, this is a little off topic, but I keep seeing these videos or these clips of women who want to say, there's people, we always hear about alphas and betas, but there's a third kind of man, and he's the sigma, and he goes his own way, and he goes against the flow, and he's not red pill, but he's not blue pill, and he just marches to the beat of his own drum, and he doesn't follow fashion. He creates fashion, fashion trends or whatever. He does. He's a maverick. He does his own thing, which of course is bullshit. It's just pro-social alphas and anti-social alphas. But I love it when people want to tell me, or they'll maybe make a whole dedicated YouTube channel called Sigma this or Sigma that. And I'm like, the first thing I would say is, do you know what sociosexual hierarchies are? To me, that's like wearing a Metallica t-shirt, some hot chick wearing a Metallica t-shirt, and you go, name 3 songs that that Metallica plays, and they can't name a fucking song. It's the same thing. So Sigma, what do you know about sociosexual hierarchies? What? They don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Do you know who Vox Day is? Do you know what an alpha, a beta, a delta, a gamma, and an omega are? No, that's the same thing as saying, name 3 songs by Metallica. You're wearing the fucking t-shirt, so therefore you should know. Yeah, it's so again, it kind of comes back to this immature lack of knowledge when it comes to stuff like this. And the same thing applies to trad cons in this respect, because they'll want to say, well, you need to be, more responsibility. Guys who are in the position of Patrick Bet-David, who are conservatives, who have made their money or were interested in their fucking legacies, who've got murals painted on the wall with themselves among the great minds of the past, those guys want to tell you it's all about responsibility because that keeps you chasing your tail, instead of getting bigger dreams and bigger ambitions and moving on and telling pathological personalities such as himself, no, I'm going to be a Sigma. I'm going to do this my own way. Perhaps it's not about male sacrifice. Perhaps it's not about me making a whole bunch of extra money. How about it's me figuring out who's worth my surplus resources, and I get to be the one that says that. How about this? How about I own my successes? How about I own my failures and I own my successes? We always talk about accountability amongst women, like, oh, they don't want to take accountability. You know what that comes down to? Real accountability is owning your successes, but it's also owning your failures. The reason why women are never held accountable is they're very accountable when it comes to their successes. When they have made their bag and they're very, very full of themselves about this, about making the money, getting the education, being quote unquote if you look at it, what makes them respectable. They want that to be accountability. But if they fall flat on their asses and they fail, or if they're caught, in any kind of like sort of cognitive dissonance, that they don't want to be held accountable for. So you can be held accountable for your successes. Everybody does. But nobody wants to be held accountable for the failures. And so when we're talking about responsibilities and stuff like that, that's the problem that I have. And as you already know, that, tradcons tend to focus they think that the solution, the panacea to every male issue, all the stuff that everybody wants to talk about, and they're suddenly red pill on their podcasts, they only want to talk about responsibilities because they think that that's going to cure the world. No, it's not. Male authority is going to cure the world. You don't get that. You'll never hear that from these guys. That's why he belittles Adam Sosnick, because Adam steps up and wants to take authority, but he's taking authority, but he's also stepping on the toes of women, and he doesn't want that to happen at all. Again, what is Patrick Bet-David talking about here? He's talking about how men need to man up. It's always a man's problem. It's never a female problem. It's never J-Lo's problem. J-Lo is just the product of men not taking responsibility. J-Lo is the product of men not having authority, of men not taking accountability, not women taking accountability, men not taking accountability. And we've been doing this since the sexual revolution. We've been doing this for almost 70 fucking years right now. Longer than he's been alive.
Is this guy like putting his arms all around me, all this stuff? I'll post the story on Instagram afterwards. He's on stage. He says when he was a young man, 10 years old or something, playing basketball, his mom tells him a story, and it's the story of Bus. He says, Mom, I want to go play. Leave me alone. He says, no, Michael, specifically said Michael, not Mike. Michael, stay here. I have to tell you the story. What's that? In life, you better get on the right bus. He says, Mom, which bus are you talking about? I got to go play basketball. Because Coach K ended up playing at one point for Bobby Bowden. No, not
Bobby Knight?
Bobby Knight. He played for Bobby. Did you know that?
Yeah, I think in the military.
That's right, because he was in the Army.
Yeah, correct.
So she's like, what are you talking about with the bus? He says, if you're going to get on someone's bus, you better choose the right bus. And if you're going to be the driver on your bus, you better choose the right people to get on your bus. If you allow the wrong people to get on your bus, life will be destroyed. And if you get on the wrong bus, your life will be destroyed. So for you watching this right now, before we get into all these stories, I don't want to say this at the end. Normally I would say that at the end, but I just want to open it up with this monologue. It's amazing what can happen to any one of our lives if you choose to have the right people in your ear and if you choose to raise your standards. It's one of the hardest things to do as young men. Well, men nowadays are afraid of responsibilities. No, kids. No, 1.59 childbirth per woman. No, I don't want any responsibilities.
They're not afraid of responsibilities. They're afraid of the product of those responsibilities. They're afraid, and I'm saying afraid. I hate even using that term. They're not afraid. Men are not afraid today, Pat. You know what they're informed today. They're warned today. You know what he should do? He should have, I would dare you, Pat, if you're ever watching this, I dare you. I double dog motherfucking dare you to have James Sexton on your show. Dare you to have him on there and let him cook. Of course, he's going to cook anyways because he'll just talk over you. I dare you to have James Sexton on your show because he will rake you over the fucking coals, man. All this stuff about, they're afraid of responsibility. They're not afraid of responsibility. They're afraid of getting raked over the coals because they've seen it happen enough with their fathers, with their uncles, with their brothers, with their best friends. They're not afraid of that. They're just like, this seems like a bad deal. Part of the get on the bus or drive your own bus kind of shit, that's also making good decisions. It's also using your critical thinking skills. Again, if somebody comes to you and they have a bad deal, if somebody says, hey, I'm going to sell you this truck and that truck is way overpriced, or a house or whatever, if they're selling it, here's the terms. You're going to sign the mortgage, or you're going to sign the deed, are you going to sign over to, the car payments or whatever for this, the title of the car? Do you want to, you would look at this and you go, fuck no, this is insane. I would never sign on to something like this. That's part of the bus. That's part of having discerning mind. That's all these guys are doing. They're not going to shivering in their mom's basement somewhere, smoking weed and jerking off to Pornhub and ordering food from Uber Eats. They're not quaking in their boots. Fucking Kyle here is the same fucking generation that this dumb fuck is talking about. He's got his shit together and he's been my fucking producer for God knows how long now.
Yeah.
And he's not shaking in his boots, I mean, if he gets married, it's up to him. It's not because it's like, he's forced one way or the other. Wouldn't it be better if you just had an informed decision and you would want that guy to be educated about that stuff? But no, you don't. And the reason why you don't is because some guy's going to say, you know what? This is not a bad deal. This is a bad deal for me. Why would I want to get into this? Answer those questions. Answer the practicals before you get into theoreticals, before you get into philosophicals. Answer the fucking practicals. They will never do that because that's all conservative ideology is based on. It's just based on philosophical bullshit. It's just based on ideology. It's just based on right or wrong or this 20th century understanding of that stuff, rather than looking at the pragmatic, practical application of what it is you expect these guys to get into because you want your ideology and your philosophy to be affirmed. And that ideology and that philosophy is informed from the 20th century, the 19th century, and the 18th century, and it doesn't play in the 21st century because you're trying to solve 21st century problems with 20th century solutions, because in doing so, it just it absolves you of any responsibility. You can dismiss this guy and it affirms your ideology. That's all you're trying to do. That's all this boils down to.